Academy. We were there for about 3 weeks. It's a 5-month academy total, 20-week academy. We were there for about 3 weeks and COVID happened. So shut down. We were off for about 4 months. It kind of became a fiasco. And so 9 months later, we made it through the 5-month academy. Came back, and then you do, here at least, you do what's called PTO. In some places it's called FTO, field training or police training. And that's basically an on-the-job training process that lasts for 4 months where you're riding with a more experienced officer. You do some sort of academic things where you're doing test questions. You're also just taking calls like normal, and you've got somebody kind of looking over your shoulder while you're doing that.
That's a good point that you mentioned about COVID. That wasn't really even on my list, but since you came in, little bit, like just in the last year, so that definitely had an impact with you. So that's a good little piece there to share. Let's see. Any experiences you'd like to share, give of what being an officer on a college campus looks like in comparison to maybe like the city police?
Right. It's a little slower. Your call volume isn't quite as high as some of our neighbor agencies here, which is refreshing. You don't have to run from call to call. You can spend a little more time on each call. So with a theft report, for example, you can spend a little more time looking into that and trying to actually recover that property. Same thing with like collisions, hit and runs, whatnot. We've got some resources on campus that you don't necessarily have in other places that you can use in your favor. It's also a little more community oriented. I know everybody likes the phrase community policing, but it's not often really taken seriously because you're running from call to call in a lot of other places. It's just so busy. Here you actually have time to kind of walk around and interact with people, and you get to be a little more part of a formative process. People might not have had any interaction with the police before they get here, and so you can kind of be that first person they talk to and kind of set the stage for them to have more positive interactions later on.
That's kind of what I think what most of us were kind of thinking more the answer, kind of more of a community vibe being here on duty on campus. What are some lessons you've learned since your time of being here at WKU?
Probably just reinforcing the value of being patient and being detail oriented. I think that's policing in general, but especially on a campus environment. There might be some more hoops you have to jump through, but you can usually get a lot more information out of that. Some of the different, campus hierarchies that we have, it pays to be patient with them and work within that system, but usually it works out in your favor, and you can get a little more out of the experience that way.
Awesome. I think our next question kind of goes. I think most of us, definitely respect our officers and want, you guys do your job. But what do you think would be some reasons for why students like us should respect officers like you here on a college campus?
I mean, everyone has different experiences. People definitely have positive and negative experiences with the police. I think it just pays to not view the police as a monolith. All police aren't the same. Everybody gets into it for different reasons, but ultimately, most cops are wanting to help you out. It's not about getting people in trouble. And so, usually, if you give them the time of day during the course of whatever interaction you have, you're going to get a better result out of it, and it helps the cop out too. Because we just want what's best for you, generally speaking, and whatever problem you're bringing to us. We're just trying to help you out, and so if there's sort of a mutual respect there, it just makes the whole process a lot easier, and it gets you a better quality result.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I know that you guys are trained, to definitely be of service, and you might have the one or two that maybe don't, but I know that as a whole, it's very very helpful, and to be guardians and things like that in the community, very oriented like that. Last question, just to kind of get us on a more positive, happy note. What's your favorite thing about working for WKU Campus Police?
I just kind of like being on campus. I mean, it's a beautiful place to come in every day. Again, you're interacting with sort of a different audience. You don't get some of the negative audiences that you're dealing with when you're working on city calls and stuff like that. So you're kind of cutting a big chunk of the population out and dealing with a very specific type of person. And most of the time you're able to actually help them, and most people are appreciative of that. So that's sort of a big perk of being an officer on a campus as opposed to a conventional police department or sheriff's office. Usually, despite I mean, I know it doesn't seem like that in the media or whatever, but most people are pretty appreciative of you on in a campus environment, and it's kind of a nice, refreshing change. So,
And I can tell just by brightness of your face that you really enjoy here. So that's all I've got. If you want to, if there's any other comments you'd like to make, that's all I have. So I think we're good.
I have two more things. We didn't get the introduction on video.
Okay.
So if you could just go through and do an introduction.
okay, same thing I said already, or okay. So my name is Jacob Sharp. I'm a police officer here with Western Kentucky University Police Department, and I've been here since October 2019, but working since January 2020.
And then, final question. Is there any advice that you would want to give a campus student in terms of interacting with the police, or just any helpful tidbits?
Goes a little bit with my next to last question, but that goes a little bit more in depth. Yeah.
Any interaction you have, just go on with an open mind, and whatever the problem is that you have, if you're bringing us a problem, if you're just saying hi, just say hi. But if